You play Solomon Northup in this film, a free man from the North who is kidnapped into slavery. And there's one scene in particular that I think is especially impactful in the film, is where Solomon is hanging from the tree, and he's there for hours and no one cuts him down until almost sundown. What did it feel like to film that scene, and how did you react to it when you watched it again in the finished film?
It was. I mean, when I read that part of the screenplay initially, I was kind of, you know, I was very struck by it. You know, it's a moment of real change for the character. You know, where he does something, you know, in the story, and the result is that they attempt to lynch him. But the lynching is aborted, but he is stranded there. And you know, in the screenplay, in the book, you get a sense of his resolve, of the depth of his spirit, the depth of his soul, his courage, his strength, as he is trying all day to keep himself from slipping and hanging. So I think approaching it, I felt that there was something of an opportunity. You know, my whole journey on this film was to try to connect and continually connect with Solomon, and to film a sequence like that was a real opportunity to kind of feel the rope against my neck and to feel that balance of life. I mean, obviously I had a safety line, but you know, the way of feeling, you know, the balance of life and death in that moment, and the uncomfortability of that, and the length of time of that, and just getting that sense of that was really important to me in trying to tell this story. And it was it sounds strange, but it really was a privilege to even go to those places, and they allowed me into a fraction, just a tiny fraction of the psychology of the reality of what was going on.
So you would say that playing out that scene, that the physicality of it really helped you sort of inhabit this character that you were playing in a fuller way? I
think so. I think it was always a chase for Solomon, you know. It was always a chase to try and capture that essential quality of him that allowed him to get through this experience with his mind intact, you know, and moments like that of really experiencing his resolve, you know, of really experiencing what it would take to be there all day, you know, all day till sundown on a knife edge, essentially, and what that would mean, and what the mentality of somebody who's capable of doing that is, you know, it was a really telling, and I felt it brought me closer.
Now, Solomon is an outsider in the film in the sense that he's experiencing slavery. You know, it's completely new and alien to him because he's lived free in the North, and that's a different perspective than we've seen in a lot of films that have tackled the subject of slavery in American history. Do you think that gives a different perspective on the experience that would impact the audience in a different way?
I think absolutely. I mean, Solomon is, he becomes the everyman, you know, that he becomes us, you know, he becomes every member of the audience, you know, because, we're born into circumstances like him, you know, so we don't know what this, you know, we're like Alice in Wonderland. We're walking along, we're free, we're happy, we're doing our thing, and then we fall down the rabbit hole, you know, and through Alice's eyes we get to see this new world with all these new rules and new, you know, and it takes us into the situation. It takes us into the environment, and Solomon is our guide and our conduit into this world. You know, otherwise it might remain alien, but with somebody there, with Solomon there, we can really take a look and see what is happening, and we're surprised with him, and we react with him, and we're confused with him, and we sort of get through with him.
Now, slavery is a part of not just American history, but world history, and a tragic part of that. But this is specifically an American story. You're a British actor, and Steve McQueen is a British director. Do you think you had a different sort of perspective on the history of American slavery, or do you think the film and the experiences of people like Solomon are universal?
I don't know. I'm tempted to say I don't know what the film would have been like if I was somebody else, because I'm not. So, but from my perspective, I felt very connected to the overall experience. I know that Steve, talks about the fact that his family's from the West Indies, and then that we all know that there was the huge plantations there, and the amount of commerce that was made there through slave labor created the word factory, for example. This West Indies turned into ultimately a kind of land war over sugar and slaves. So, he's obviously very connected to that experience. I spent some time recently in Nigeria, and in the southeast of Nigeria. I was in, this is where my family are all from. My family are all of the Igbo tribe. And I was at the museum in Calabar, where hundreds of thousands of Igbos were taken from there to America, many of them to Louisiana. So, we're all in the diaspora connected to the experience, and therefore connected to this book and to this story. It takes place very specifically in America, and it is an American story, but it does speak to kind of the wider, not only the wider implications of the slave trade, but also just the wider themes, international themes, of human respect and human dignity. And 97% of the people who made this film are Americans. Yes, there are some Brits in some key positions, but this is an American film and about an American a moment, and the fact that it has some international concepts behind it, some international energy, for a story of this nature, I think is absolutely correct. I think it is something that is an international idea, and certainly with regards to the themes of it and human respect, I think it is correct that an international pool is drawn on to tell the story.